Senator Capito.
Senator Breathless Capito over here. Thank you for being here. And I think really the last 6 or 7 weeks have been extremely miserable for you and in the American public, and it's been miserable up here at the United States Senate too. So I don't know if that's any consolation, but it certainly is. Let me ask you something that I think happens when things like this happen, which are obviously rare, but certainly air service in rural areas is so challenged. Service has been cut. I'll just say your flights are going out at 5 in the morning or coming in at 11 o'clock at night. And so the fear, I think, is as we head towards, when we look at shortages of air traffic controllers and other stresses and strains, I mean, how do you view this? I guess, Mr. Daniels, this would be for you. How do you view this from the air traffic control perspective in something like a shutdown or something where there's a slowdown in the economy? Where do you see the differences, the impacts between urban and rural America in terms of air service and availabilities? And how do your people look at that, your air traffic controllers?
Well, first, thank you for the question, Senator. The impact of the shutdown does one of many things. The disruption, the stress, the fatigue, the absolute uncertainty that it brings air traffic controllers to not be 100% focused on the job where they have to be perfect. They have to be 100%, 100% of the times. That increases risk in our system and something that we continuously advocate for, and why we support Senator Moran's bill, Senator Cruz's bill, to ensure that we're not part of these shutdowns in the future. But it also, as far as the difference in markets, what you're getting to see is what we deal with every single day. And that's operate a system with less than 25% of its essential workforce. 3,800 certified controllers short, and on any given day, one absence, one person not being able to make it, additional stress and additional fatigue absolutely impacts America and the flying public.
Well, that kind of leads me to, thank you for that. My second question, Governor, it's nice to see you. Essential air service is what we rely on, not in all of our airports, but certainly several of them. Where do you see the, because we do rely so much on it, how important is that to your membership, Governor?
That's huge.
For essential air service.
Sorry,
Can
no,
you talk about that during the shutdown and how that
sure.
might have been impacted?
So, you know, the regional hub service, the system, as we have with major carriers having hubs and then the regionals kind of pouring into there, as Mr. Daniels identified, some of the issues are around workforce, right? You got to have the workforce, whether it's in the towers or the pilots or the training programs in those rural areas to support that. The aircraft themselves, they tend to be a little bit smaller. You got to make sure that there's investment in the technologies there. You know, as was identified, one of the biggest impacts of the shutdown where things weren't getting certified. Equipment and technologies weren't getting certified, and so that's critical. You don't want to leave those regional and those rural areas behind. I can say that when it did come to the area of cancellations, you know, that was a tough conversation. You know, we're always talking to the FAA. We have a great collaboration and a great working relationship with them. When it came to some of those looking preliminarily at what these cancellations would mean, to their credit, the FAA said, look, you can't we're not just shutting down rural areas because they're a little less you know, not the highlights, if you will. So they really took care to make sure in understanding that while these impacts were going to be big across the country, they had to be evenly distributed. It couldn't just be the main, you know, the main lines get to be maintained and the regionals get hit. So the shutdown was tough, but I think everyone tried to make every effort to make sure that where pullback had to happen, it happened to happen evenly, with an understanding that rural areas always kind of are the first ones to get hit, and they wanted to be cognizant of that.
Okay, let me just throw this up to whoever wants to answer. One thing I was sort of wondering about. You know, we put a lot of money into modernizing the air traffic control, the technologies behind it. I mean, we're way behind on this, but we did put a lot of money in the One Big Beautiful Bill to get a good head start on that. Do you think the testimony or the impacts on our air service and our aviation systems, if we had that system fully operational, the new system that we want, would there be any difference in the conversation we're having today? And I guess Mr. I can't say.
I'll take the first stab at it,
Daniels, why
Senator.
don't you take
Yes.
that? Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think the number one impact you see is the backbone of that system is the hardworking men and women, the true American
I get
patriots that
that.
do that.
I get that.
And yes, we would absolutely see a difference because if we had a full workforce with modernized equipment, we would not see near as many disruptions.
Okay,
and
so
delays.
question being, does that system work without a full amount of people working on it?
No system will overcome the hardworking men and women.
Good, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, did you want to say something?
No, I would just add that it's all about efficiency, allowing those technologies, the speed at which controllers could potentially get trained, the ubiquitous nature where one tower doesn't have one system and another tower has another system. It would allow folks to move around in an emergency situation. So that first $12 billion is great. The next $19 billion is critical, and the technologies you're going to see in this country are absolutely amazing and going to make the whole system work, not for just the airlines, work for 350 million Americans that rely on it, and all the air traffic controllers that are completely strained by it.
Yeah, and I would add really the world, because people are flying here and around here all the time. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Senator Capito, thank you. I'd highlight for our committee members and maybe the audience that we are working to have a hearing in November that involves the Secretary of Transportation and/or the FAA Administrator to talk about the amount of money that's been made available, the amount of lack of money that's been made available, and to see where we are in the modernization effort. And we hope we were unsuccessful during the shutdown to get the federal employee witnesses to be here. And we're had postponed that hearing and hoping that it occurs in November.